Hi, in this video I'll be talking about the pros and cons of shared ownership. In previous videos we've been through the shared ownership selling process, the costs of selling, and our own selling price. But was shared ownership worth it? Let's start with the pros. Fixed price. When buying, the price is fixed so you don't have the stress of a bidding war. Smaller deposit. With shared ownership, as you are only initially buying a percentage of the property, it means you can buy with a smaller deposit than you would for a property in the same area at full price. Bang for your buck. You can find a bigger property than you would at full price for what your share is worth. £300,000, for example, won't go very far in London at full price, but as a 50% share, that will get you a lot more space. You can also generally get a better condition property. With shared ownership starting as we know it in the 1980s, the properties are newer builds, so likely to require less work, even on resale. Investment. Just as with a full ownership property, it can be a good investment. The property can increase in value and potentially be sold at a profit. Staircasing. This allows you to purchase more shares of the property all the way up to 100%. If you time this when the market goes down, you can buy the full property for a good price, as long as you can afford the additional payments to do this. So those were the pros, and now for the cons. And some of these may slightly contradict the pros. Firstly, rent and service charge. You don't just pay a mortgage, you also usually pay rent on the percentage you don't own, and a service charge if it's a flat. These can vary depending on the property, so it's important to take them into account when searching, as it can add significantly to the monthly payments. However, with resales, it tends to be more reasonable, and we found the amount of additional costs made it a no-brainer to go for it. It's not full ownership. You simply don't own the full property to start with, so you don't have control over what you can do with it. There's no option to rent it out unless you ask permission to the housing association and probably your mortgage provider, and this might only be having a lodger while you're living in it at best. There are additional selling costs. When selling and staircasing, you have to contribute towards the housing association's solicitor fees as well as your own. The nomination period. Again, when selling, there is something called the nomination period. The housing association gets an initial say for a set number of weeks on who can purchase the property. Only if they don't find a buyer can it go on the open market. Fixed selling price. When you sell the property, there is no bidding on it. The valuation price is the selling price, so you have no choice on what you accept for the property, only whether you sell it or don't. And there are a couple of additional cons, but these are subjective to your own situation. Firstly, with alterations, you have to apply and pay fees in order to make alterations. If you want to open up a wall, install additional sockets, move a radiator, or even change the type of flooring in some instances, you have to ask permission, you have to apply, and there's usually a fee to pay for this. Staircasing fees. There are additional fees involved in staircasing, which could make this less attainable to get to 100% ownership. Of course, you don't have to do alterations and you don't have to staircase, but for a lot of shared ownership properties, if you don't own 100%, this means always paying rent. So, our conclusion? Through our experience as a first-time buyer in an expensive city like London, we don't regret having bought our flat. After 6 years, it worked out as a good investment, gaining in equity and giving us options. We had a high level of satisfaction the whole time we were living there too. But would we recommend it now? Well, this is very subjective. We think it can still be a good option in the situation where someone has a small deposit and wanted to start on the property ladder and is not able to find a property on the open market suitable for their lifestyle. But I would do this under the very strict condition that I had a secure income and was planning to stay in the city long term. I would bear in mind that there are always risks of uncertainty in the future, so I would feel more comfortable to go for it if I am in a job that I know I'll be in for the foreseeable future or have transferable skills, and most importantly that the job I have is something I love doing or can cope with. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and if you like the video, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And why not watch our other videos on shared ownership? Thanks a lot for watching.